When I was a kid, for hours, I would bombard my father with stories. Today, he finally told me his.
I was about 6 years old in 1975 when the Khmer Rouge took over. I think roughly, I believe it was April of 1975. I remember as a kid, we start hearing gunfire in the morning, and you look out across the street, you got your government soldiers fighting the Khmer Rouge, bullets and stuff like that flying everywhere. We were evacuated from the city. Pretty much what you could consider what we call a forced march. You don't really pack your belonging like you would typically move, but you have a little time where you grab a bag or two of your personal belonging, some clothes, and you leave. The soldiers were burning books across the street, what they consider, the communists consider educated individuals, school teachers, doctors, were shot. As part of the forced march, we pretty much evacuate out to the countryside, rural area, where we reside in prison camp, but not in your typical prison camps where you have barbed wires. What we have, what we consider a prison without walls. You build your huts, you live in a community where you all work for your community for one. In a way, if you were to venture out and if you were witnessed by the Khmer Rouge soldier, basically they just shoot you down because you're not within your group, you're not confined within your boundary of your community. You get your meal time during the day where walk out there and they scoop and serve your meal. Pretty much went to work in the morning until sundown. And when you get to food, it's when you're out there working. So if you're sick, if you're home, you go without food. You deal with the hunger. So hopefully you don't get sick because you don't really have a supermarket. You don't have hospital anymore. If you're fortunate, you manage to somehow get some seeds and grow your little own patch of vegetables behind your hut in some way, and then you might be able to trade with your neighbors who have something you don't have. If you have jewelry, if you have seed, you have vegetables, or something else that you can trade with your community members. As a kid, I recall going to work with the adults, morning until sunset. I was a water boy. While the adults work in the rice field, you offer them water for them to drink. Later on, I end up having a job where I tend to the community gardens, grow squash and corns and vegetables and such like that. I remember my shoes, or sandals, you cut out of old car tires that you found. My clothings were pretty much the Khmer Rouge party. It's pretty much black, so you got black pants and black shirts, and so that was from 75 to 79. But I remember where the soldiers start to disappear. And one morning the camp was, our community was somewhat empty. We realized that, people were abandoning their posts, so we start to separate and start just escaping. And we travel for days, and I remember seeing tanks, and it was the Vietnamese soldiers that were just, coming through the Cambodia. I lost the oldest sister in the family, so I think she's probably in late 60, early 70 to this day if she had lived. made it to the refugee camps in Thailand. I don't recall how long. I would say maybe a month, maybe 3. I'm not exactly sure. But I recall that the camps were overflown, so the Thailand government decided that all the refugees were to evacuate and to go back to where they came from. So we were forcefully ejected from Thailand. We actually ran into my mother's family. Her oldest brother was executed, or we assume he was executed. Your neighbor could just report you. From what I've been told, they came by, they took him away at night, and no one ever seen him afterward. We lived out in the mountains, out there, border of Thailand, Cambodia. It's probably 2 to 3 months. I have 2 uncles from my mother's side that stepped on landmine and they were killed. They would go out daily trying to, source out food. They never came back, and there's a couple other people that were killed, and we were told that they hit a landmine, and that was it. One of the moments I remember the devastation was that there's a river, it's called the Mekong, and I remember when the war started, we were able to cross the bridge, and when it ended, as we were evacuating, trying to escape the border, I remember being carried or swam across. The bridge was pretty much destroyed. I remember seeing buildings that had damage from mortars and bombs. There's holes all over the dirt road that you would typically walk. Streets were destroyed, and that stuck with me for a while. I lost a baby brother. It's your family is your core.